Welcome. You're tuned into Tangled Threads. If you're digging our content, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. So, this is probably one of those moments you think you'd only see in movies, right? I mean, I sure as hell thought my life was pretty normal up until that night. My wife, let's call her Jess, and I decided to hit up the local casino with a bunch of friends. It was supposed to be a fun night, just gambling a bit, having some laughs, nothing serious. We're not big gamblers or anything, but we do enjoy the thrill once in a while. Anyway, things started off pretty well. We were all having a great time, the energy was high, and the drinks were flowing. Maybe they were flowing a bit too much in hindsight. Jess and I were doing our thing, splitting up here and there to play different games, but always touching base. It was all good, or so I thought. Then, out of the blue, I caught something that straight up felt like a punch to the gut. I saw Jess talking to this guy we kind of knew from our group of friends, but not well. Let's call him Joe. They were laughing and seemed to be having a good time, which didn't bother me at first. I mean, it's a social outing, right? But then I saw them kiss. Not just a peck on the cheek, but a full-on kiss. My heart sank, and I felt this rage building up inside me. What caused her to do this? And why here and now, of all places? Without thinking anymore, I marched over to them. I could see the surprise in their eyes, but I didn't care. I was so filled with anger that, before I knew it, I had smacked Joe right in the face. He went down like a sack of potatoes, knocked out cold on the casino floor. The whole place went silent for a moment, and then chaos ensued. Security came rushing over, and there was a lot of shouting and commotion. Jess was freaking out, trying to apologize and explain, but I wasn't having any of it. I just grabbed her by the arm and we left the casino. The car ride home was the longest ride of my life. I told her I didn't want to hear a single word. I just wanted to listen to my favorite music and try to calm down. She tried to say something a couple of times, but a look was all it took to keep it quiet. When we got home, that's when I really let it all out. I turned off the ignition and we sat there for a moment in silence. As we entered the house, the weight of the night's events finally began to settle in, and I knew it was time to confront the situation head-on. "Sarah?" I started, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "What the hell was that back there?" She hesitated, her eyes not meeting mine. I don't know what came over me, Mike. It was a stupid mistake. I'm so sorry." "A mistake?" I echoed, incredulously. "You call kissing another man a mistake?" "Mike, please, let's just talk about this. It didn't mean anything. It was just a kiss," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "Just a kiss?" I repeated, my anger rising. "You don't get to downplay this. How would you feel if the roles were reversed? If you caught me kissing another woman?" She was silent, tears beginning to form in her eyes. I don't know. I'm sorry, Mike. Please, can we just forget it happened? I love you." "Forget it happened?" I scoffed, shaking my head in disbelief. "No, Sarah. This isn't something I can just brush under the rug. It's not just about the kiss. It's about trust, respect. And tonight, you showed me how little of that you have for me." She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand, stopping her. "No, I've made up my mind. I want a divorce." Her face crumbled. "A divorce? Mike, you're being dramatic. We can work through this. Please." "Dramatic?" I replied, my voice rising. "Finding my wife kissing another man and wanting to end our marriage is dramatic? No, Sarah. What's dramatic is thinking you could do that and not face any consequences." She tried to approach me, reaching out, but I stepped back. "No, I can't do this. I need you to leave. Go to your parents' house. We'll figure out the logistics later, but for now, I can't have you here." Sarah stood there, stunned, her body shaking with sobs. "Mike, please." "I said leave, Sarah." My voice echoed through the house, a finality in my tone that even I was surprised by. She hesitated for a moment longer before turning and slowly walking to our bedroom to pack some things. After she left, the house was eerily silent. I just sat there, trying to process everything. Ended up cracking open a few beers and just sitting in the silence, trying to drown out the noise in my head. A while later, one of my buddies who had been at the casino called, asking if I was all right. I told him to come over. We ended up talking about the whole mess, and he tried to offer some comfort, saying I did what I had to do. So yeah, here I am, sharing this story with strangers on the internet. Never thought I'd be that guy, but life has a funny way of throwing you curveballs. I guess the moral of the story is, you never really know someone until you see them in a situation like that. As for me, I'm just taking it one day at a time now, trying to figure out where to go from here. Update. It's been a whirlwind of emotions since the night at the casino, and if you told me things would take another unexpected turn, I'd have called you crazy. But life has a way of surprising you, especially when you're down. A couple of weeks had gone by since Sarah left. I was slowly getting used to the silence of the house, filling my time with work, and hanging out with friends to keep the loneliness at bay. Just when I thought I could predict the rhythm of my new life, I received a message that threw me for a loop. It was from one of Sarah's friends. Let's call her Emily. Emily and I had always been cordial, but we never really talked much outside of group settings. So seeing her name pop up on my phone was surprising, to say the least. Hey Mike, I know this might be out of the blue, and you have every right to ignore this message. I've been thinking a lot about what happened with Sarah, and I felt like I needed to reach out. Can we talk? It's important. Curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed. We met up at a local coffee shop, a neutral ground. The air was filled with an awkward tension as we sat down with our coffees. Emily broke the silence. Mike, first, I want to say I'm sorry. Sorry for what Sarah did, and sorry for the fallout it caused. I can't even begin to imagine how you must feel. I nodded, not sure where this was going. She continued, There's something you should know. The night at the casino, Sarah. She was feeling neglected. She felt like you weren't paying attention to her, that you were more interested in everything else but her. It's not an excuse for what she did, but she wanted to make you jealous, to see if you still cared. It was a stupid plan, and she regrets it deeply. I was taken aback. Jealousy? Neglect? These words swirled in my head, painting a picture so different from what I had imagined. Again, it's no excuse, Emily added quickly. But Sarah's been a mess since that night. She realizes she lost the most important person in her life because of a moment of insecurity. She's too ashamed to reach out, but she wanted you to know, through me, how sorry she is. I sat there processing her words. Anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief washed over me. Relief because, finally, I had some context, some reason behind the madness. Thanks for telling me, Emily, I finally said. I don't know what to do with this information, but it helps to understand a bit more about that night. Emily reached out, placing her hand over mine. I know it doesn't change what happened, but I hope it brings you some closure. And if you ever need to talk, or if there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate. We talked a bit more, about random things, before parting ways. As I walked away, I felt a slight weight lift off my shoulders. The wound was still there, but now it felt like it could begin to heal. Reaching out to Sarah wasn't something I was ready to do, and I wasn't sure if I ever would be. But knowing the why, understanding the reason behind her actions, offered a piece of closure I didn't realize I needed. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it added a layer of complexity to my emotions that I had to acknowledge. As I sat in my car, I took a deep breath, feeling a bit more at peace than I had in weeks. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, I felt like I could start to move forward, one step at a time. She felt neglected? What a joke. Anyways, let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.